Yeah, it should be
Great.
nice. They'll be closer. Yeah.
It's wonderful.
Yeah. I'm so glad he got a job.
Yeah. I'm
It's
sure they have mixed feelings about leaving Israel, but it's,
look, it's complicated. They're very left politically, and it's not easy. It's complicated.
well, maybe they want to go to Bay Save instead of Young Israel.
Yeah, I don't know. I think, yeah, it sounds like they've seen better days. And so
Okay.
the sense I get is they want to be open, but we'll see.
Okay.
Okay, so we are up to chapter 10 today. We got 15 sukkim that are considered to really the guy I look at he's one of the sources I look at ahead of time. He splits it up as like 8 into 9 and then 9 into 10. I decided it's too complicated. It just will follow the chapters. But some connects to other things, etc. Yeah. So all right, so we open with this interest. We've got, I guess, like all the chapters, we've got some words that don't really totally make sense, and I'm very excited to see different translations. So we open chapter 10 with Geffen Bokek Israel, Peri Ishave Lo, Kerov Lepirio, Hirba Lemizbachot, Ketov Artso, Heitivu Matzevot. So this word bokek is interesting. Here they translate it as Israel is a ravaged vine. Um, and then Pri Shavelo, its fruit is like it. When his fruit was plentiful, he made altars aplenty. When his land was bountiful, cult pillars abounded. Right. So when the wine flowed, so did the Avodah Zarah. Does anyone have a different translation for Geffen Bokek Yisrael?
Um,
Mm-hmm.
Israel is a vine that has eliminated the fruit that is fitting for it.
Ah, okay, okay, great. So fruitless. Okay, great.
no.
No, okay.
Um,
Mm-hmm.
Not with the translation. I just want to clarify, since he addresses Israel here, he's only talking to the northern kingdom because at that time that's what Israel was.
Yes, exactly. Mm-hmm. Yep. Great call. Okay, so that is our beginning. Chalak libam.
Sorry, Marat.
Yeah.
Is, is it related to the name Chavakuk?
Oh, interesting. I don't know. I didn't see that. That's a very good question.
So, according to the Gemara, Chavakuk is the child that Elisha brought back to life.
Mm.
So it means that all I'm trying to say is that it sounds like it's a dying Geffen because of
Mm.
that context.
Very interesting. I don't know. Gotta look that up. Okay. Chalak libam ata yeshamu hu ya'arof mizbechotam yeshoded matzevotam. So now that his how do you pronounce this? Bows. Someone will tell me.
Boughs.
Bows are broken up. He feels his guilt. He himself pulls apart his altars, smashes his pillars. Right. So it's not just that there's something powerful about the fact that he himself is doing this. But first of all, I want to go back to Chalak Libam. What does anyone have? Their hearts are divided or anything of that sort?
Yes, I have their hearts are divided. Now they shall be desolate.
Great. As soon as I saw this, I was like, I bet everyone else says hearts. Does anyone not have that?
I have their hearts have become detached.
yeah.
Oh.
And in parenthesis from God. Now they will become desolate. He will.
Yes. Okay. Beautiful. Does anyone not have that? No. Okay. So yeah, I mean, I saw like different explanations for what it meant that they're broken up, but certainly it's not good. Now, noting here, Hu Ya'aruf Mizbechotam, he'll pull apart his altars and smash his pillars. My guy, he says, Ha'oyev, Shehu Shlucho Shel Makom, So that the enemy, who is a messenger, sent as an agent of God, is going to be the one to destroy the pillars, right? So it's not that the nation is going to. The enemy is going to destroy them as they come in, which frankly makes more sense. It makes less sense to say that the people themselves would do it because they haven't been, right? The whole theme is that they hold on to their avodah zarah. Does anyone have anything like that or something different than that?
I'm a bit confused here. It's talking about plural altars, plural pillars. This is a northern kingdom which had set up 2 new temples.
Mm-hmm.
And it seems that it would be good to destroy those temples. And here it sounds like the punishment is destroying those temples, because wouldn't it be good to get rid of the 2 temples in the northern kingdom?
Yes, I think that depends on your perspective. And if you're an Israelite who's still wedded to the avodah zarah, to the idolatry, then it's probably hard to watch. But yes, I agree.
Because the angels it would be a good thing if they pulled down the pillars and destroyed the altars.
100%. 100%. Yeah.
And I don't see how that goes in context with the previous verse then.
I'm curious if anyone has any comments about this. I mean, like, to me, I read it as like it's about perspective, right? Of course, the pillars, all this being torn down is a good thing ultimately. But for them, because they're so immersed in the world of idolatry, they're going to see that as tragic, right? That these things are taken down and torn down. But I'm curious if anyone else has comments about this from a different, like, theological perspective.
Who's the he that they're talking? Is that Israel is the he who feels the guilt?
Yes, I think, yeah, Israel feels the guilt. Yes. Where's my and yeah, and then Arof, my guy says who is the Oyev, is the enemy. I guess ultimately the Assyrians, right, who are going to come in and tear all this down. Oh, and I had clicked here. I don't know what made JPS really translate it this way. It didn't. I don't know. All right. Ki ata yomru ein melech lanu ki lo yarenu et Hashem vehamelech ma ya'aseh lanu. This is a very interesting verse, right? So truly, now they say, I don't know why truly, ein melech lanu, we do not have a king. Lo yarenu et Hashem, because we did not fear God. Vehamelech ma ya'aseh lanu. Now, what can a king do to us? Does anyone have that translated differently?
I think I have what can a king do for us, which is a lot different than to us.
That was exactly what I was wondering, right? Those are very big differences. Yes. So let's just backtrack for a second. Now that this trouble has befallen us, right? We've been attacked. Now we're going to say, "Oi, we don't have a king," right? Because I guess you couldn't adequately defend yourselves. So he's got different theories here of like who is saying and why are they saying it. And that now the Navi is saying, well, that's because Kilo Yarenu et Hashem, right? We didn't fear God. Right. And what can a king do for us? That's basically what this guy says. He says, "Lama'anenu klomar ein boto elet." Like, what can this king do for us? In other words, there's no benefit. We're not getting anything from this. Not so do to us would be much different. Once again, I cannot understand why they wrote "do to us." Is there anyone who has it? What can a king do to us, or is it for us? Everyone.
For us.
Yeah. All right. Sounds like that's what everyone else says. Anyone have any interesting commentary or especially historical about kings and things like that here?
I've gotten as an alternative explanation, the verses refer to the original split in the kingdom of Israel under the leadership of Jeroboam. Concerning this, the prophet declares, now they will recognize their guilt for parting their hearts from the kingdom of David and dividing the nation in two. For that division is etc., etc.
Okay. So we're going all the way back to that. Okay, beautiful. Great. All right, let's keep going. Verse 4. Dibru devarim alot shav karot brit ufarach karosh mishpat al talmei sadai. So they conclude agreements and make covenants with false oaths, and justice degenerates into poison weeds, breaking out on the furrows of the fields. Other translations? Anyone?
They have spoken words, swearing falsely, sealing covenants, so their judgment will sprout up like hemlock.
Right. Yes. Right. Different questions about what exactly it is, what this is. Okay. I like that it says they speak words because that's, here they translate as conclude agreements, but it really is Dibru Devarim in the literal sense they speak. Right. Make with false oaths and make covenants and yeah. So, we know this, that they were trying to make deals, all these things we've talked about before. This angers God greatly. Excuse me. Yeah. Just so you know, my guy says, what for Dibru Dvarim, Hamelachim Be'asarim, right? The kings and the officers, Dibru Divrei Shav. They said falseness, right? Nothings to them.
Mm-hmm.
Hosea has been talking generally about abandoning God, not keeping faith with him, idolatry. There's, going back, previous chapters been talk about sexual impropriety. Here is the first time we introduce another one of the commandments, swearing falsely, or whatever the other translation was, which seems to put that up into prominence among other commandments because this one stands out. Is there some background to that?
Huh. I don't know. I'm just looking real fast. I mean, here he connects everything to the king stuff, which would connect it to the previous pasuk. I don't know. I don't think so. I don't really see anything here. Anyone have anything like that?
Because they could have started with coveting, they could have started with murder, they could have started with not honoring parents, but Hosea starts with, swearing falsely or whatever.
Right, and that's why I think it's interesting that he dafka. So the Mikra says it's who is it? It's the kings, right? So that connects it to we have no king. Well, it was the kings who were telling you false things in the first place, right? You really don't need a king in that sense. That's the way they connect it together. By the way, I totally side note. I apologize, Thera. I meant to say at the beginning. Thank you for sponsoring learning this week. Just remember that. Yeah, so that's a way to connect it. And if anyone else has something different, please jump in.
Is hemlock used for the taste of bitterness does it have the root word to curse? Hemlock in Hebrew.
Well, it's talmei, which here he says hatelem hu ma'anit hamacharesha gam izbechotam kigalim. Oh, sorry.
Hemlock is poisonous to humans.
Right.
Yeah, it's mentioned already in Parshat Nitzavim that that we will be like the Rosh.
The Rosh, exactly, right? That's what it is in Hebrew. So I don't know. Do you know anything about the word telem?
I'm sorry, about which word?
Telem. So talmei sadai.
Telem is usually a furrow in the field.
Sorry?
There's a moshav telem in Israel.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
I think that's what it's called in English.
That would make sense here.
But basically, it's a sort of like a curse. Because they've spoken these evil words, Hashem will make their furrows filled with hemlock instead of wheat and barley and whatever else they were planning on growing. So,
yeah. Right. So it's like the promise of something good turns into a curse. Okay. Le'eglot, so this is also interesting. Le'eglot beit aven yaguru shechan shomron ki aval alav amo, uchmarav alav yagilu al kevodo ki gala mimenu. The inhabitants of Samaria, they rearranged here, the pasuk a little bit. The inhabitants of Samaria fear for the calf of Beit Aven. Indeed, its people and priestlings whose joy it once was, mourn over it for the glory that is departed from it. Who's got a different translation?
I have as well as its priests who used to rejoice over its glory, which has been exiled from it.
Kigala, right. Okay, beautiful. Great.
This is basically saying that the residents of Judea, Samaria, are mourning that the 10 tribes have left and formed their own separate religion.
And I have a footnote that says the calves were idols set up by Jeroboam, son of Nebat, first king of the northern kingdom.
Yeah.
So in this passage, Hosea is basically making it clear he's not condemning the southern kingdom and is only condemning the northern kingdom because the southern kingdom is actually mourning for what the northern kingdom has done.
Yeah. Yeah, and this idea of the eglot, the calf right here, it's the of course, remember, let me start again. Yerovam sets up the golden calves, right? It basically exactly parallels the story of the golden calf in Shemot, which we read this week, incidentally. And of course that's very intentional, textually, right? And so now they're worried, right, about it leaving, that they're going to be taken away, and all of that glory that is lost, which also I think connects to psukim ago, where it's once again the people are mourning the loss of their idolatry, right? They don't want it to go, or they're see like it as being their honor is being bound up in it.
But it seems like the word grief is a play on words here, because he says they used to rejoice in it using the verb yagilu, but then gala is the actual result.
Yes, beautiful, right? Yes, thank you for pointing that out. Joy, the fact that joy, and yeah, these were for joy and exile. Yeah, he calls it lashon nofel al lashon. Okay. Gam oto le'ashur yuval mincha lemelech yarev b'shana Ephraim yikach ve'yevosh Yisrael me'atzato. It too shall be brought to Assyria as tribute to a patron king. Ephraim shall be chagrined, Israel shall be dismayed because of his plans. What other translations do we have?
I have that Ephraim will take shame and Israel will be ashamed for its counsel.
Counsel. Okay, yes, great. Atzato, counsel. Yeah, we've seen this before with atzato being translated differently. Great. Here he says, what is the counsel? To make covenants with the neighboring nations. Yeah. Anyone else have anything on this verse?
Also, there's a footnote that says Ephraim and Israel will be ashamed for having set up the calves for worship, which is from Rashi.
Yeah, we'll see if they will.
Based on these explanations, it means that it was before the exile of the 10 northern tribes, no?
Yes, it seems so. Or as minimally as part of it. Yeah. Okay. Nidmei Shomron Malka Ketzef al Pnei Hamayim. So Samaria, Shomron's monarchy, is vanishing like foam upon a water. Nidmeh, vanishing, or it looks like, right? The image is right, and foam on water, right? It's the first part. It rises to the top, right? It's the first thing to then you skim off, or that it reintegrates into the water, and it's bigger than it looks, right? It looks like all high and mighty, but it's not. It's mostly just air. So there's a lot of different ways to connect the imagery of the foam on water to Samaria as a kingdom.
Oh my wonders.
Any comments there?
Just I had silenced instead of vanishing.
Mm,
Yeah.
right, met. Okay. Interesting. Silence. He doesn't comment. V'yesh mefarshim kan nidme melashon dimion. Right. Okay. So yeah, different opinions about what it could be. Beautiful. V'nishmendu bamot aven chatat Yisrael kotz v'dardar ya'aleh al mizbechotam ve'amru leharim kasunu ligvaot niflu alinu. So ruined shall be the shrines of Beit Aven, that sin of Israel. Thorns and thistles shall grow on their altars. They shall call to the mountains, bury us, and to the hills, fall on us. Right, so the sense of humiliation, the kind where you just want to disappear, right? I think it's interesting image of calling to the mountains to cover them. Kasunu, like l'chasot, to cover, but here, of course, bury us, and to the hills, niflu alinu, fall on us, right? And of course, if you are buried under them, like probably no one can find you. I was thinking, incidentally, I was listening to like a podcast with stories from people the other day, and one of them was that like a gigantic mountain of dirt fell on her at a mine, and buried her alive, and obviously she was talking about it, so she was saved, although she had a ton of physical injuries. But I was just thinking about that, like it's one of the most like horrific things that can happen, and so if you're asking for that, something is pretty serious, and I don't know that it's actually connected to this at all, but I just think it's interesting. The Gemara in Bava, of course, now I'm forgetting which Bava, is it Mitzia or whatever, where Kafei Aleim Har Kikigit, that God holds the mountain above them at Mount Sinai like a barrel, right? It doesn't necessarily mean He's going to bury them, but certainly cover them. And says, if you accept my Torah, great, and if not, here's your burying place. Which of course is about Purim. We're making all our connections, right? The Kimu V'Kiblu is actually on Purim. It's only the Jews voluntarily took it upon themselves to follow the commandments. But anyway, the point being that it's like an expression of disappearance, I think, and the rejection of God.
Yeah, I had the same response. I thought immediately of God holding the mountain.
Oh, okay, good. Oh, good. Great.
Say anything.
Awesome. Okay, I'm glad. Okay. Mimei hagiv'ah chatat Yisrael sham amadu lo tasigem begiv'ah milchama al bnei alva. So you've sinned more, O Israel, than in the days of Giv'ah. There they stand as at Giv'ah. Shall they not be overtaken by a war of upon scoundrels? Excuse me. Giv'ah we saw mentioned recently in this book. It's the story at the end of Sefer Shoftim, the horrible one about the concubine, and it's a stone-like story, right? Except that instead of the people being stoned, they're Benjaminites. So these are other Israelites. So of course it's a very, very, it's a story that really, I think, condemns just how badly a nation can act to each other when there are toxic dynamics at play, and territorial dynamics and competitive dynamics. So it's definitely shameful. It's like the epitome of a shameful moment in your history, right? And now we're saying, you have, this is Mimei Hagiv'ah, from the days of the Giv'ah Chatat Yisrael. You've sinned more than in the days of Giv'ah. I wonder if anyone has a different translation for that, but certainly saying this is as bad.
Here it just says, since the days of Yeshivas, you have sinned. Say more.
Interesting.
Yeah,
Oh,
I have that same translation.
really?
And I also.
Huh, okay. Interesting. All right. Okay, ba'avati ve'esarem ve'usfu aleihem amim ve'asram lishtei avonotam. Okay, as peoples gather against them, as people by war pound scoundrels, but as the peoples gather against them, when I chose them, I broke them in, harnessing them for 2 furrows. Does anyone have a different translation or any commentary or anything like that on this one?
By my will I afflicted them, then the nations gathered against them when they bound them, and then parenthesis to plow, two furrows.
Okay. Okay. ואפרים עגלה מלומדה אוהבתי לדוש, מאני עברתי על טוב צווארה, ארכיב אפרים יחרוש יהודה יסדה לו Yaakov. Ephraim became a trained heifer, right? Melumada, a learned, I guess trained is the right word. To me, it just sounds like funny as an expression. But preferred to thresh. I placed a yoke upon her sleek neck. I will make Ephraim do advanced plowing, but Yehuda Yishadei lo Yaakov. Judah shall do, Yacharosh Yehuda Yishadei lo Yaakov. Judah shall do the main plowing, and Jacob shall do the final plowing. Anyone have a different translation than that?
Malmada Kar is the cattle prod.
I'm sorry, what?
Malmad,
really?
Memdalt, is the cattle prod that they poke them to be on a straight and narrow.
Oh, very interesting. Okay, that's good to know.
So this says, Ephraim is a trained calf who loves to thresh, and I passed over the goodliness of her neck. I joined Ephraim to plow with Judah, that Jacob should harrow.
And I have a note, like a cow that would rather thresh than plow because it can eat while it threshes. Ephraim preferred immediate pleasures to the yoke of the commandments. I put pity on its neck and gave it a Torah that was easily within capability. This is this is from Radak thing.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
Only the leaders of both Ephraim and Judah would carry out their responsibilities. The nation of Jacob would break up the clumps of soil that impede their spiritual progress.
Ooh, very metaphorical.
So that's basically saying that if the 2 kingdoms reunited, then the descendants of Jacob would have success as opposed to the failure they both faced. That's basically well, it's not a forecasting because they never reunited, but it's basically a statement that the way to survive for both of you is to reunite. You cannot live separately.
Okay. Yeah, that's a nice point. Yeah. Yeah, I like that.
And I assume that the reason the word used Jacob here is that they can't say Israel because that's now referring to the northern kingdom. So in order to distinguish the unified Israel, they have to use the term Jacob.
Yeah, that sounds, well, Okay, so here's what my guy says. He says, first of all, Yaakov kan hu kinui Yehuda, so that Yaakov is a term to refer to Yehuda. But then he says that Ibn Ezra Peirash Yaakov kan hu kinui Klal Yisrael. So that it's a name to refer to all of Israel. So there are different opinions. Great point as to who Yaakov refers to.
Rashi has a different kind of explanation, as you would have guessed. If you wish me to restore Ephraim to his former glory and place him astride the Gentile nations, the nation of Judah must plow a furrow of righteous deeds, and the remaining 10 tribes from the children of Jacob must follow suit by harrowing further the clumps of ground, by continuing the process of filling the land with righteousness and justice.
I see.
Emulation rather than rejoin is that they should follow the pattern as opposed to unite.
Interesting. I like this. All right, good. Let's see. Let's see if we can get this done. Zir'u lachem litzdaka, kitzru lefi chesed, nivru lachem nir, ba'etz lidrosh et Hashem, ad yavo v'yorei tzedek lachem. All right, so we strike a different tone here. Sow righteousness for yourselves, reap the fruits of goodness, break for yourselves betimes fresh ground of God, of seeking God, so that you may obtain a teacher of righteousness. Okay, all right, so this is like a positive lesson. Excuse me. Yeah. Ve'yorei tzedek lachem. Oh, sorry. Ve'et lidrosh Hashem, ve'yorei tzedek lachem. All right. The yoreh meaning teacher. Any comments here in this one?
Set aside time for Torah study and God will help you harvest an abundant spiritual crop.
An abundant spiritual crop.
Yeah.
All right.
A footnote to this.
Okay. All right. Charashtem resha avlata kitzartem be'achaltem pri kachash kivatachta b'darkecha berov giborecha. You have plowed wickedness, you have reaped iniquity, and you shall eat the fruits of treachery because you relied on your way on your host of warriors. Does that sound like a good translation compared to what everyone else says?
Yeah,
you have eaten the fruit of denial, for you relied on your way, on your many mighty men.
Yeah, kachash is more denial. Good point. Mighty men. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. V'ka'am sha'on be'amecha v'chol mivtzarecha yushad keshod shalman beit arvel be'yom milchama im albanim rutasha. All right. But the din of war shall arise in your own people, and all your fortresses shall be ravaged as Beit Arbel was ravaged by Shalman on a day of battle when mothers and babes were dashed together. So, that's always a very tragic image, especially given what has befallen the Jewish people in the past few weeks. Anyone have comments here?
Past few weeks, past year.
Okay. All right. Kacha asa lachem Beit El mipnei ra'at ra'atchem b'shachar nidma melch Yisrael. All right, so this is what Beth El has done to you. For your horrible wickedness, at dawn shall Israel's monarchy utterly perish. So there's a question about what b'shachar, exactly what does it mean here? Anyone have anything good?
So this says, this is not the translation, this is a commentary by Rashi. On when most people go about their business, the king of Israel will be silenced, stunned in powerlessness by the presence of the king of Assyria.
Okay. So Nidme is silenced, not perished. Okay, interesting. Does anyone else have silenced?
Yes.
Very interesting. My guy doesn't.
I was just going to comment that.
Sorry, what?
I was just going to comment that when Hoshea says these words, he must be in terrible emotional pain because Beit El used to be a holy place, and now it has become a place of idol worship.
Yeah, it's gotta be terrible if you really internalize it and take it seriously. Yeah. So any last comments from anything? Anyone's got a good footnote?
I'm not certain I understand any difference between silenced and perished. I mean, to silence somebody is to kill them, so I'm not certain I see a difference in the translation. I don't know what the Hebrew word means, but either translation seems to be synonymous.
In my note, it says silenced, meaning from any effective response when the enemy has befallen him.
When the mafia silences you, they kill you.
Hmm. Yeah, my guy doesn't really expand on this. I don't know. I mean, you're right. I think ultimately has this same similar effect, right? Whether you're silenced or destroyed. But I don't know if I think they're the same thing.
The court could only prosecute you if there was evidence, but Hashem is above that, and maybe that's what's called mitabi shemaim or something similar, where Hashem punishes even if it's not visible to our human eyes.
Hmm. Yeah. Okay. I like that. So, all right. Well, once again, thank you for joining us. We'll continue next week.
Yishar B'chech, happy Purim.
Yeah, have a
Happy
wonderful
Purim.
Purim, everybody. I know it's a hard time for our people, but I hope that they're still able to be joy and celebration and during all of this and a fun Friday Purim. It doesn't happen so often.
Thanks, Ruth.
Yeah, have a
Thanks,
great
Ruth.
one, everybody. Have a great trip, Thera.
Okay, thank you.
Take
Enjoy the
care.
weather.
Take care, everyone.
Thanks.
Bye now.
Bye.